Okay, so let's take this kind of fear-based, closed life that is mainly controlled by external forces or our past stories that don't serve us anymore. And we'll turn it into a powerful life of meaning. And what does that look like when we switch this diagram around? Well, we can see that the vibrant joy zone, the courage zone grows to be the majority of your life, like we talked about earlier. And if you look here, what happens when something like coronavirus threatens the world? It comes in, and it still comes in. It still gives us anything crazy that happens in the world still gives us instant emotional reactions in our body. And then we create thoughts about it based on our past thought patterns. Now, in a kind of a more powerful life of meaning, we would choose to have a gap between the stimulus that happens in the world and our response mechanisms. So when we create a gap, and there's many strategies of doing that, like creating kind of a more of a third person view of what is happening, so you don't feel it hit you emotionally, so that you have this gap and this time to choose your perspective, because you absolutely can choose. Again, the Viktor Frankl is a great reference, Man's Search for Meaning. So I look at the closed and fear zone now in the state of coronavirus like a messaging system. Now, messages coming in from the media, if you choose to look through that. So choose very wisely where you look for your incoming messages. Choose wisely your environments and the people that you surround yourself, because if it's all fear-based and it's all negative headlines, if it's all lies, so many, everything's exaggerated in coronavirus, that there's so many bits of information coming from everywhere that is unknown. Especially back in March, there were so many unknown things about the future. That was the instant thing about what is happening, and we're all freaking out and triggering that anxiety in the red zone. But if we choose to ground and return back to the present, which you can absolutely control with practice, things like meditation and breathing and visualization, so huge to return to the present. In fact, in any crisis in your life, or any small crisis or a conflict, return to breathing and ground yourself. And then that will switch back parts of your brain that allow you to make a rational decision rather than a reactive, painful one. It will also stop you, pulling those past thoughts back, which will then get projected into the future to project a scary future for you about coronavirus. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of strategies you can use and tools you can use to, when something negative happens, you basically breathe and ground and work on a daily kind of emotional release, and have awareness of what's happening to you. Release it as much as possible on anything that doesn't serve you, but it's a messaging system. So I don't even look at this fear zone, the red zone, as anything bad anymore. I see it as a messaging system that can help me. I see fear as something that is a friend. It's an ally. It's messages, and I'm lucky to be listening to them. And the same with anxiety. Elizabeth said it in her talk. There's a certain amount of stress, anxiety, and fear that can be very, very powerful. And there's so many TED Talks on how fear can be used to your advantage, and fear as an ally. And when you look at it like this, you find you naturally, when things happen in the red zone, you naturally can release and then bring yourself back. Because when you release, you feel lighter and you feel more space. And what happens with that space is you then can take in first of all, you're a lot more grounded, but then you can take in a lot more gratitude in the world. You can see a lot more love and beauty, even in a crisis. So the courage zone there, choose actions and choose to live, not to pause in a crisis such as coronavirus. In the last 2 or 3 months, I've been, I'm well aware of the terrible things that are happening in the first responders, and so grateful for everything that that people are doing. And I feel for the world, but I see so much beauty, and I see that we can absolutely still, many of us can still live like a very powerful life. And we can choose our perspective. A lot of us have the opportunity, even in lockdown, to choose our lockdown perspective. So there's a very negative lockdown perspective and a very positive lockdown perspective. So again, the overlying point here is to choose, like find the power within yourself to choose your perspective. It's not just talk. It's not just a nice theory. It's, again, back to the original point, it's life-changing stuff. It can impact everyone around you, everyone you interact with online. It affects, like if someone acts negatively, even in a comment online to you, it affects the way that you can ground and deal with a proactive response, rather than that eating away at you and those things building up and growing your fear zone. Because when you're in the lower down zones, you can't see a lot of the amazing things in the world. Okay, so in that vibrant joy zone, you can see with something like coronavirus, which is the point of this slide, turning that perspective into where you can still feel the gratitude, you can ground, you can breathe, and you can still see incredible, beautiful things in the world, as I've seen the last 2 or 3 months. And when you do that, you actually do way more than you realize. You project into the world love, respect, kindness. You still connect powerfully with people online and with your authenticity and being real. I've got there a being energy with no attachment. So you just, you have this kind of peace about you that you project into the world that is very comforting to lots of people as well. And you're just being, like, you're not trying to need anything or want anything. And it helps connect to other people and see other people's perspective a lot more. And people can feel this vibrant zone about you. They can really, really feel subconsciously. Subcommunication, I can't remember the percentage, but subcommunication was something like 70 or 80% of our communication, maybe more than words. And when we choose to see this vibrant zone, we choose to see love, gratitude, and connection all around us. So that's how, even in a scenario, a shocking world scenario like the coronavirus, a big threat, it doesn't mean you have to fall back into fear. So here's some interesting things. If we all know that breakups are gonna always happen, we're talking 50% of marriages in the Western world. They talked on the news about even increased breakups and divorces because of so much time at home together, potentially in certain areas. And if we know these curveballs are always going to happen, we know there's a trapdoor on the comfort zone. We know that stress and tension will always happen, because it always will and it always has. Even when a baby comes into the world and the mother is going through tremendous amounts of stress and tension to make the baby, to have the baby, to recover from the baby. That's how we came into the world. And then the baby goes through all of this tension as we grow. We go between, crying in one second as a baby to being super, super happy the next second. There will always be tension and stress and challenges and fear and negativity in the world. So if we change our perspective, and this is my point, rather than be scared of this, what if we can build the tools to use some of these things as our biggest learning opportunity there will ever be? And it took me a long time to really, really realize the power of that new perspective. So if all of these things are always going to happen, and they will happen next year and the year after, it's not then about avoiding the pain, like I said. It's about the skills and tools to blast right through the pain, through the tension, through the comfort zone, into the through the resistance tunnel into all of your dreams. It's about the skills to get through it and not to shrink back down to our smaller selves in a place of fear. Because when we get through it, there's all of our dreams. There's anything. The video and the podcast here is about achieving any goals. So, and that's all beyond that pain. Otherwise, you would have it right now. So if we know this, what are your super skills and tools to boost yourself up this top zone? And here's what I have. And there's more to add to this, but here are some powerful tools. So I just want to be really, really upfront. If you are stuck in a negative spiral or mindset, again, if it's overwhelming, please reach out for support. But if you're just, I'm going to say it, like if you're in a lazy place, or in a place of non-action, a place of just reading the news, and if you're not happy and you haven't got your dreams and you wish you could do certain things, but you're telling yourself you can't. These are a whole collection. Again, they're not answers, they're things to explore. And this is a whole collection of some of the most powerful tools that I've been through myself and read in so many books. And there's so many more beyond these. Let's pick a few out. Gratitude, something every day. I was talking earlier in the last slide, a couple ago, about if you release some of the negatives in your life as a consistent habit, then it creates space in your mind. And when you create that space and then invite some positives in, positive self-talk, gratitude, kindness, just helping someone without needing anything back, it starts to fill a lot of amazing energy, which is really that vibrant kind of light energy into your life. And when you bring that in bit by bit and you do it on a consistent basis, it will grow, and then you'll start to go up. The environments, we've talked about the environments that you're in is absolutely massive, and the people that you're around. Knowing the power to choose is absolutely huge. I've talked about the choice internally. Imagine that choice is 80-90% inside you to control your whole life. Because if you know that, then it's not about blaming the world anymore. It's not about blaming. Bad things happen to everybody, and they always have done. And I'm sorry to say, like, they always will. And it's not about stopping those things ever happening, but it's about knowing that the choice is within you to overcome that and use it as your launch pad to move up. We've talked about presence and grounding. Breathing is big on here because it's so huge. Journaling, we've talked about in our talks previously as well. Exercise, I think, is absolutely essential. Exercise and moving, dancing, whatever you want to do. Dancing especially, like, gets you into this kind of free moving place where you're not only moving and exercising, but you're in many dances, you're having this like contact with other people in partner dances. So you then get to overcome embarrassment or awkwardness or social barriers. So dancing actually, very, very powerful, more powerful than I ever realized. It's beyond dancing, it's connection of people. If you look at tango, for instance, tango, and I've only done a few lessons, but it's a very, very amazing, like some of these dances have the most subtle connections between two people that you don't even start dancing. And things like kizomba, you don't even start dancing until you felt the connection between you. And it's so subtle, you have to feel it. So dancing brings you kind of movement and brings down social barriers and gets you beyond things like embarrassment of the way you look, which is a huge one for keeping you down in the negative red zone. Seeing love everywhere, emotional release at the bottom here. I'll keep talking about that. Emotional release is huge. Look into Letting Go or a book like that for really amazing, life-changing, detailed information about releasing fear, releasing anger, or even going from apathy to actually start to feel things like anger, to start getting up the emotional feeling chart into these higher zones. So I'll let you take more of this in, but if you haven't, to my other point, if you're sitting at home and you're not happy and you're stuck and you feel lost, you don't feel you've got purpose or meaning, these are some fantastic ways to start moving up and start opening up your life. Learning is right there in the middle too. That's huge, huge. Don't sit in your current negative perspective. Learn and find new perspectives, and your world will start to open up. So let's look at some zones in the real world. I've talked about some of the things like dancing here. I see when I did a lot of yoga as well, I experienced amazing kind of peace energy, especially things like no judgment. We need to drop judgment in the world of ourselves and judgment of other people. It's so kind of built into the society that I'm around that I've been through there many, many times of instant judgment of people for whatever reason. And now I feel in a place where it's extremely rare. And if I ever catch myself judging, I try to get rid of it as soon as possible. And it invites a lot of freedom and amazing kind of connections with new people that you wouldn't have even spoken to before. We need to all drop judgment and reduce the impact of someone is a higher value than someone else just because of our beliefs and the way we've been raised. So these are some of the real world things in the different zones. Sport, I think, is a fantastic kind of freedom, energy, friends, family time with pets, going out on walks and hikes. These all remind me of very kind of freedom, vibrant energy-based things where you have no expectations what you're trying to do. You're just enjoying the moment. And again, they're very, very in the present. The first stage of relationships, I talked about this. It's so in this vibrant joy zone that you don't plan, you don't look at the future necessarily. You just really, like, if there was ever a spotlight focused on enjoying the moment with complete freedom, it's those beautiful, incredible times of new relationships. I'd also add like time with kids. Time with my daughter is so in the present moment these days of loving just that freedom of exploring or splashing in a puddle. Or when you see life through their eyes, we can learn a lot from kids because they live a lot in the vibrant zone. They'll jump between anger and vibrant a lot, but primarily a happy kid is living in that vibrant world so powerfully, and we can learn a lot from that. Courage zones, things like taking new actions, positive habits, we've talked a lot about in other talks. Creating habits is essential because it's the systems that you use every day to start to make this change and climb up the ladder. It's the regular trying to do something that scares you every day or getting out of the comfort zone. trying new things, like first time evers, whether they're small or big, are huge. Like, get out of your bubble of what you're used to and try new things. Like I've just signed up for a kite surfing lesson this weekend. One time I just walked into a gym network in the city, and I signed up for an aerial yoga class and absolutely loved it. I went back many, many times. Same with something like jujitsu. I just dropped in, and it's one of my favorite things to do at the time. I can't wait for it to open back up. But the point is, try new things. Be really, really curious. Get out of your comfort zone. Try little things if you're not ready for anything big, and then that builds up your self-confidence and your feeling to then get to the next level and try even new things until you end up in that vibrant zone constantly. Some of the zones in the real world for the feeling closed and fear are, we talked about listening to world news, which is heavily filtered on the scary side of the world. You don't see a lot of the beautiful side of the world in that balance. Social media filtered life, browsing. We all know this is, it's hard to escape from the endless scrolling loop, sometimes laying in bed in the morning, and we've all been there, we've all done it. It's a good idea to really, really control the amount that you do, and again, what types of subscriptions. If you're subscribing to things on Facebook and Facebook groups and YouTube channels, I have on my YouTube channels, I subscribe to motivational stuff channels all the time, and that's what comes in the morning, like some really cool talk that I'll just fire up and listen to, and I'll listen to that while having a shower or brushing my teeth. Here's a classic example of you're not in a relationship and you feel the need that you have to be in a relationship because that is what you think you need to be happy. But what about another approach? I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because, again, the first part of relationships are stunning. They can boost you right up to this beautiful zone. But what about if you create a personal dream vision of what you want to be and the environments you want to be with, and chase your dreams and goals? And then, because you're being vibrant on the right hand side here, when you're in that vibrant zone, you vibrate attraction, energy, and you're chasing your mission, and you connect with people, like-minded people, also chasing their dreams and visions, also in a kind of vibrant place. So jumping over to the right, I'll skip over the Trump bit. We all know that, but Trump is, especially right now, is the online social media tactics are crazily projecting anger and fear into the world and the country, and we need to be careful. We need to be careful what we, how much of this we take in and let us impact us hugely, even though there's some really, really important issues going on in the world that we need to make change. External world on the right hand side here, like I was saying, the attraction, and this is the projection that you get from the vibrant zone. You build trust with people, you networking opportunities which are from a genuine place, new opportunities, you build the stories in your life, new experiences, you connect deeply. I think we've already talked about these things on another slide. And here's a little projection of, if we take some famous people in the world and from the past, here's where you might classify those people, just open to interpretation. But, when we talk about anger, you can see it on a face right here. There's anger being projected on social media. But here's the key point here is all of the people that have made incredible change in the world, and project incredible influence and inspiring. It's always from this vibrant zone, and to get to that place, they've had to have incredible amounts of courage. It doesn't mean that we all have to go through the kind of challenges that these people went through to be able to make a massive shift in the world, but we can make a smaller shift if we want, and just in our own lives and just with the people closest to us. But it's all this same flow is what I see of it, coming from this place of peace, joy, acceptance, and being vibrant. So I want to now dig in even deeper. So please bear with me, because I know this is kind of a lot of diagrams, but I just want to share, it's important to share my vision around like how we talked about the resistance tunnel, but how does that resistance tunnel map to these zones? And I think it's very, very clear to me that the resistance tunnel is essentially, if you turn it on its side, that is the way up the zones as well. So emotional release, wisdom, and tools to get you through that resistance. As you step out of the comfort zone, you go into courage, you take action, and then the resistance will increase after you do more. And that the wisdom and tools will get you through, and emotional release will get you through and help you go up. So I just want to make that clear. And the courage zone, after you achieve many little things, that's about kind of achieving our smaller goals necessarily. But as you start to build more and more courage, make your fear zone smaller and smaller, then you go up and up and up until you're living that 80 or 90% in the vibrant zone. And that's when you can actually create incredible things, just not your goals, but now your meaning and your purpose, because now you're starting to affect people beyond just you. It's now about like, what can I give, and how many people can I help in the world? What change can I make in the world? What change can I make in the environment? And it comes from that super courage zone. I guess the top zone could also be a place of just tremendous courage, because you have such a solid base of joy, peace, and acceptance, knowing that you can deal with anything that comes up. But remember, as you're dealing with some of these more vibrant states, where that's your primary state, remember there will always be pain that comes up, always be fear, always be loss in our lives. And we have to constantly listen to those messages and try to release any negative emotions that don't serve us. But the only way to do that is to go through them, never ever to suppress them. If you suppress them, by the way, and it's something I've experienced myself, I've experienced it directly with suppression of some painful situations of where I had flashbacks, like flashbacks would come back to me. And the one day that I went through a tremendous experience in Salt Lake City, and everything felt like the biggest release ever. And I never got one flashback. So anytime we suppress things, those things will not go away. They will come back in ugly ways, and they will store pain in your body along the way. Flashbacks, whatever it is, it will be tension in your body. And if it gets traumatic, it will start to take down your body physically as well. So a secret to fast growth and a powerful life, and this has already been mentioned, but I want to make it clear, is you choose discomfort. When you get to a certain level of this, we start off doing little small steps of habits, getting out the comfort zone and achieving small goals. But after a while, when you get more living this world in the pink zone, the vibrant zone, you actually start to get so much self kind of trust. Self-trust is a good description, that you now are in a brand new position that you can start to choose fear, like choose to scare yourself every week with a new experience. You choose discomfort, choose tension and fear. After a while, it says here, you enjoy facing the tension. And when you get to that stage, it's pretty damn magical. I have felt many, many times in the last 3 years of where I got a gut instinctual desire to do something, which I knew was from the core, is from the soul, from the heart, to go on this trip to Miami to this workshop, which was incredible, to go to Hollywood, to LA Salsa Festival when I can't even dance, to, take on a new skill that a new sport, like kite surfing. Like, this came up over the last couple of weeks because I saw the kite surfers down there. But I recognized that feeling inside of me that felt like nervousness and tension, but in such an excited way. So I'm now at the point when that tension comes up, but I feel like it's an excited version of it. I know that comes from soul. Like, I know it comes from the heart, and it's driven inside. It's not someone told me I had to take up this thing. And I aim for that stuff now. Like, I listen, and I know that feeling of the bubbles. It could be going out on a date. I know it's someone special when I feel that feeling. It's kind of like the goosebumps and nerves and nervousness, but in such an exciting way. When I feel that, I live for that now. I try to find lots of those periods over a year where I feel that, and I just jump into that, even if I'm going to fail, because those are the magic. They really are the magic. I keep a whole collection of some of those magical moments on Post-it notes. I put them in a jar, and I just, filled up with those things over the last few years. And they're the magic of life. Like, you feel so alive, so incredible, and you learn so much and you grow so much by doing that. And it doesn't have to be crazy, scary things. When I say fear, I mean, find the level that works for you. So start small and listen to that feeling, then get a little bit more, and then get a bit more, but learn what is happening inside you. As you step out of the fear, into the fear, and through the fear into these new experiences, you'll find a lot more of the red zone things will come up for you. You'll get, embarrassment and stories from your past about, like, I can't do this, and I'm going to look stupid, and embarrassment is actually a huge one. And I still get it now. Like, there's certain scenarios I know I want to be able to do something successfully, not successfully, do something that lights me up, and I know embarrassment is holding me back. When I go to a hip hop class, I'm at the back of the class because there's all the 20-year-olds at the front of the class, and it's embarrassment, and it's something that I'm aware of, and I'm going to work on it, chip away one little piece at a time. So the diagram here is really showing, get to a point where you can start to choose to go up, and more than it just happening out of the blue, search for those things that send you up, search for opportunities that light you up, be curious and explore some of the things that are interesting to you, and then start to explore them. Like, aim for tension and fear to be your friend. And if you don't do that, then generally when these things come up, you'll be in the habit of going down on this red arrow, and you'll return to your comfort zone. Now, when you live in the bottom section, in terms of goals, You may still get growth as you make the tiniest little steps towards things, but it will be very, very slow and tiny growth, or maybe no growth at all, maybe backwards in your life, away from what you're trying to achieve and who you truly are. And it's very, very common. Again, the systems of the world are kind of built around driving a lot of this closed fear zone. So it's super, super common. We've all been there, and just be aware of that's your slowest growth zone, and the biggest goals and meaning and growth and helping other people come from this place beyond courage into the vibrant zone, as we've talked about lots. So here's the key is, let's look at this. Every week, do you choose to close up in your days and your week, or do you choose to open up vibrantly and live life in a place where you're facing fear as a choice? And if you don't, that's okay. There's ways to change, and you can change today. You can use those tools and skill sets we've looked about, start exploring your passions from your soul, and then explore as many tool sets that bring you into the present, and start to figure out if you can start to head that way of automatically up, not down. Everyday flirt, as a general great rule, flirt outside of the edge of the comfort zone for amazing growth and to really chase your dreams and goals. And again, to a very, very important point, it's very hard to see the most kind of vibrant, successful version of yourself if you're stuck in a negative cycles with many, many triggers that keep you down in a kind of chronic anxiety and depression. And that's beyond the scope of what we're doing here. So please reach out and find as much support and counseling, doctors, coaching environments, to be around positive environments and groups. Be really careful and aware of the negatives in your life and the negative people you surround yourself with, especially on a daily or weekly basis. So please reach out for support. And here's a detailed version of the zones. So we can see here the vibrant joy zone is broken down into these powerful feelings where, at the top, David Hawkins talks about, kind of enlightened and such a peaceful state. And that is where some of the most extraordinary outcomes of change in the world have happened with many famous people or non-famous people as well. But some of the happiest, I think one of the happiest cultures in the world, I can't remember, but they talked about what was the key ingredient, and it was peace and connection in their community, and they did not need anything else. Courage zone is more about, obviously, courage, neutrality here, willingness, and acceptance. Acceptance is huge, especially after you've been through a trauma or in a scenario where someone has done wrong by you. Again, you get to choose, and I've been there. You get to choose to accept. And it's way harder than I just said, of course, but knowledge will get you there. And knowledge will get you out of your closed perspective so that you can then see acceptance. Releasing will get you there massively. Acceptance is absolutely huge. And then the closed fear zone. So notice how pride is at the top end of this zone. But notice how pride is still in here. I know I've got pride here twice. I'm not sure what was underneath that one. Things like anger, fear, apathy is like lower down on the scale. So the lower down on this scale, the more small and closed and less vibrant you are, literally on a measured scientific scale. You can see when you are constantly feeding off the world fear state, this maps to inaction. And inaction means you're not going to be achieving any of your dreams with consistency. As soon as you try to take action, you'll probably find the fear will pull you back, and it will pull you back down like the crabs in the bucket. You will not be able to maintain the consistency to go towards what you're trying to do. And this is why New Year's resolutions will never work in this context. And emotional release is the way to move up this chart, as we've already talked about. So this is the book I've mentioned many, many times. I want to share it with you. Letting Go by David Hawkins. Super, super powerful. There's lots of other books similar. There's something called the Sedona Method. Originally, this work was from Lester Levinson. I think that's how you say his name. And he had an incredible story about he was in incredible physical pain, and I don't think he had long left to live. And somehow he managed to recover through a kind of a form of emotional release. And then he described how that saved his life, and then it turned into this bigger thing. And David Hawkins then wrote about the same kind of theories, but in a different emotional scale way. If you search for emotional scales online, you'll see quite a few different versions of it. Okay, so I'm going to try to, I'm not going to read the text on any of the slides. They're more for you to, if you're interested, to take in your own time. But these are some of the things that have been life-changing for me. You know, I've gone from a place 10 years ago where I was confident, but I was still living in the bottom half of the red zone. I was still living a place of fear. I had an underlying confidence, and like an inner confidence that I never really displayed, vibrantly. And I was coming from a small self, which I realize now, and I had a lot of like trying to want everyone to like me and things like this. A lot of kind of nice guy, trying to do the right thing by everyone, trying to follow too many rules. That was a huge one. And, you know, going through this process, not even a process, but, you know, it was the hardest thing in my life that gave me all of the incredible things that I have in my life now. And I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of what is possible. And so I'm sharing all of this with you in all of these slides because I really hope it really is my journey. And these are some of the things that really transformed my journey so far. And I want to share it with you in case it can help any of you if you're going through a tough time. And what was really interesting, I'm not going to read through all these, but there's little crazy things like, you know, this transformed into a promotion at work because the way I was being compared to the way I used to be at work even led to an opportunity to move into a leadership position and, you know, change my financial stress at home. So, you know, there's just one simple example of the power of some of this stuff. It really is incredible when you move to a place of kind of, you know, way more freedom. I feel now than I ever used to. I'm okay with someone not liking me right now, and I never ever used to be able to do that. And it gives you so much freedom to be yourself when you're okay with that. Let's move forward. So even though there's been a lot of diagrams, there's been way too much text, there's been way too many kind of logical thoughts here of laying things out. So I want to return here to a basic kind of underlying thing to everything that I've talked about. And that's everything is feeling. Like everything on that emotional scale comes down to feelings in our body and our biology and our the neuroscience that's going on behind all of this. goals are feelings. They're feelings underneath. So this is another area, and apologize for the appearance of a diagram, but the point of this is to say, when we look at goals, where do they come from? And I think I'll get to that in a sec, but some classic goals here: to start a business, be an entrepreneur, to win a championship at sport, to climb the career ladder at work and be a manager, be the CEO of a company one day, or to get married one day, expensive ring, to have the house. Excuse me. Now go underneath all of those and find out, what's the feelings underneath. So here's some examples, and there's probably some more core feelings. To have freedom. So if you map the things I've talked about and go underneath of what you really want to feel when you want to get married, it's about feeling connected and to feel loved. Maybe you want to be an entrepreneur and be a manager at work because you want more money, which you think will then give you more freedom. So the real feeling is around to have freedom. To grow and to change is another common core desired feeling. Many times I've heard this scenario where certain things that you're craving for and chasing for years and years in your life as goals, and spending so much money and pain and hard work like crazy, driving yourself into the ground to get there. And really the feeling behind it was to feel important and to feel appreciated and feel liked by somebody. There's other ways to get there. Ultimately, we all want to feel happy. So, and the pink one down here, core desired feelings, the most common, I think, of all, if you take those bottom ones, is to feel good and to feel connected, which was what I mentioned earlier. One of the happiest cultures in the world was really down to these core feelings. Now, what's really, really interesting, if review your goals carefully, do they come from your heart and soul? Because you could grind for years to afford to own a house and to be a manager, to own a business, to spend lots and lots and lots of money on a wedding day. And just review very, very carefully your goals, refine your goals to make sure they come from your heart and soul by looking at the core desired feelings. And the way to, a really amazing book is called The Desire Map. I'm going to put that up in a minute. And it's about flipping this and starting with how you want to feel in your life. If you want to feel powerful, you want to be completely independent, you want to just focus on being loved to the max and giving love to the max. Start with that and then build goals around how you want to feel. How many of these can you choose to have today? So when you look at it from this upside down perspective, can you create, sure, go ahead and chase your goal, but can you create the happiness now on the way to those future goals, or even without those future goals? It's amazing to have a compass in life and some targets, but many of these things, you can make big changes in your life, brave, courageous changes, not in the fear zone. And you can feel a lot of these incredible things today. And I very much feel like that. I did a lot of changes in my life, and I feel way more freedom today based on a complete mindset change. And it didn't take years and years. It just took, as Nelson Mandela said, it took education and knowledge and wisdom. So into the final section, thank goodness for most of you. Where do I start with all of this? All of this flood of content and thoughts and ideas. Again, these are not answers. These are explorations for you to, in the hope that they might help someone out there to know how to make the first change. So where do I start? The first one in my opinion, is trust that you can change and that you can grow at any age. And if you don't believe you can change, I would say gain more, look at more knowledge, read more books to believe you can change. If you still don't believe you can change, I would say it's very likely you might be in such a negative cycle of triggers that I would reach out for help, reach out for coaching, reach out for support. Look at YouTube, so many incredible TED Talks. You can change and you can grow and you can have anything, any dream that you want. Self-awareness is another great place to start, and listen to your truth and everything that's going on. Not just your thoughts in your head. You can't really trust the messages in your head to be truth. So be self-aware of what you are feeling from an emotional place in your body, and listen to that very, very truthfully. Be very honest. Journal, and I've got the Goalfire app is an amazing place, and the reason why I built this into there is so that you can track some of your emotions that you're feeling day to day. And then you can go ahead and journal, and then you will see some of the patterns that you go through. And this fits to the zones that I'm talking about, the vibrant zones versus the fear zones. So bring self-awareness into your life, journal, try and be grounded and mindful, and introduce or explore meditation and breathing exercises. It will really, the more truth that you bring in about what's going on in your emotions and your body will lay the groundwork to be able to rise up those zones and achieve anything that you want. But you need to have self-awareness first. When you're listening to your body and everything that's going on, then find the negative patterns over time, and then believe that there are choices inside you that you can 100% change and rewire, especially using habits, because habits, not goals. Habits are the daily things that you can rewire very easily, because they're small, achievable, bite-sized pieces. It's about the 1%, and the 1% changes to stack up those 1% positive changes in your life, and reduce the 1% at a time, reduce the negatives. And then when you create more space, you can see the world with a different perspective and more gratitude and more peace. You start to let go of things. You start to let go of attachment and expectations. And then again, you go up, your goals will find you. You will end up being vibrant. You will attract people. You will connect with other people. Really is huge. But start with the negative patterns and explore them. This is a really interesting one, so I'm going to read it carefully. And here's a great way to be aware of some of the red zone patterns. Watch these thoughts inside you. I should. I need. I want. I can't. I would, but I don't have time. I'm not good enough. I'm not talented. I'm not whatever. I'm bad. It's my fault. I'm guilty. I'm scared. I'm right. You're wrong. I can't change. When you hear these messages, I super, super recommend look underneath them and see what is there. See what fears and messages are underneath, and journal on this stuff, because if you ignore this stuff, it will probably store in your body as some kind of resentment and some kind of pain. And if that gets expanded into a chronic state, some kind of physical effects in your body and illnesses. So these are all the messaging systems in the red zone I was talking about. If you listen, you'll see the fears behind them. Then using your knowledge, you can find out ways to use 1% steps to overcome some of these things and open up your whole world, your dreams and your goals. Change your belief. Here's a good one, and recommended to me by Elizabeth, National Health Director, that she really helped me see a new perspective on anxiety and even depression. That if you look at it, anxiety specifically from a different perspective as a messaging system, especially stress and anxiety, a certain amount can be a positive thing because it's trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you you're going off your path and that you need to realign. And if you notice these things keep on coming back, again, if it's chronic, please reach out for help. But if you're at just a stuck place in your life or a lost place trying to find purpose and meaning, and you're still in control, then, and it's keeps feeling like it's squeezing or tightening up your body, all of this energy, or if there's flashbacks like I talked about, or these things keep coming back to you over and over again, these sensations, these feelings that turn into negative thoughts, they'll keep coming back until you find and release the message. So again, journal, use the Goldfire app to explore these things and patterns as they come up. Journal them, find the truth behind them. Mel Robbins once said, you can use the 5 whys. Like, why do I feel? Why am I feeling like I will be embarrassed at a dance class? And then whatever comes up behind that of, well, I think people are going to judge me. And why am I scared of people judging me because of something that happened in my childhood? What did you feel in your childhood, and why are you scared of it? And you keep doing as many whys as you need until you find a core thing of, well, I just want to feel important, or I don't feel valued, I don't feel seen. There's a core thing underneath. Now, once we've started to release a lot of this pain over time and taking baby micro tiny steps forward into courage and a more vibrant place, then once you've opened up that space and you're more in a positive place, then if you're already in this vibrant place, make sure it's really important to create a vision of the most powerful, empowered, free you. And what does that, you could even design it as a superhero character, like a heroine, like Kate's talked about. What does it look like? And not what does it look like in the future, but what does it look like right now? Either meditation or creative visualization, and imagine it to the degree that you can feel you are that character in your body right now. Like, I have a dream to, for the Goldfire stuff, see people grow in the way that we're talking about today and achieve the most incredible things in their life. And my dream is to go around and witness people's stories and journeys, and travel all over to see them like overcome their obstacles, out of their comfort zone, and the days when they finally do their bungee jump or get up and speak on stage, or the day where they launch a new business that they dreamed about, or an organization to help people. My dream is to go around and experience that. And sometimes often I try to imagine that it's happening now. And what does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it even smell like? And what can you hear? What can you see around? Are you on stage? Are you speaking? What does that feel like? So imagine your biggest dreams and that they're happening right now, not in the future. And it's really important, the right now bit, because it then grows in your body. And sometimes your body will get confused between, is this reality or is it still my imagination? So there's an element of that imagination that is real chemical reactions in your body when you embody that. Embody that experience inside you. You can actually feel the same core feelings that we talked about that you're trying to achieve one day, and it will grow and grow and grow until the idea is that it is very, very likely to then happen in the real world. Once you're in this vibrant state, you attract and network with people, and these things will start to happen for real. So release your blocks. Imagine that incredible vision. Release your blocks, your negative loops, your small self, and your fear habits. Create your goals from the heart. They have to be from the heart and the soul. And use power habits to start to step towards that new self, that super, your core feelings, that incredibly empowered superhero version of yourself that's doing your goals. You know, focus on that instead of your goals. You're that superhero character and what you're feeling, and take steps towards that every day. And it doesn't have to be something big in the world. It could be your purpose and meaning could be a grandparent making beautiful gifts for the granddaughter, and that gives you the most overwhelming purpose and satisfaction to be a grandma. You know, so I'm not talking this is only for people that are trying to create massive impact on as many people as possible. This could be still within your magical bubble, and your superhero character could be to be the most incredible grandma you've ever experienced. But again, it's a core feeling that's so powerful when it comes from the heart. Consistency is crucial. We've talked about this many times, and that's why your tiny steps need to be achievable. And you know, 2 minutes in size would be a great place to start. Things you can do every day. Then learn and grow the tools to get through the resistance tunnel that we've talked about and head up the emotional chart. So I'm repeating the slide from earlier. Again, explore all of these tools, as many as you can. Knowledge is power, learning is power. These are the way. These are the ways to accelerate up the chart and achieve your dreams, anything you can imagine. So focus on tiny steps, that should say, to courage and above every day. So have this mindset perspective. When fear comes in, say no, like listen to the message, either let it go, learn the tools to let it go, take the message from the fear if you need to, but always say every day, how can I head up? How can I return to at least courage? And courage is the turning point, as we said, of between going up and going down. So head to courage as many times as you can, and you will experience massive growth changes over time when you consistently do this. And never give up trying. Every time you fail, just have a bit of sympathy and acceptance for yourself that didn't work out. Look at every message behind the failure and what can you learn from it. Every failure is a golden ticket to learn, as I just said. So keep going and always get back up. Again, you can change completely, young or old, today. Tiny steps. This is the book, Danielle Laporte, The Desire Map. This is really amazing about creating goals with soul. So the core feelings I talked about, and how to know exactly, exploring what you want to feel, and then creating your map of where you want to head in your goals based on that. Don't base your goals on what you've been told you had to create in your life and who you were supposed to be. Anytime you use the word supposed to do, supposed to be, I have to have, then look at that and really, really carefully review those goals, because some of the, one of the most terrible things potentially you could do is spend years and years and years chasing a goal that wasn't really yours in the first place. So we're at the end of this long journey, which is split into 2 parts, but I think it's really important information. In the future, I'm going to break this down, but I want to certainly share with you the Goalfire app. So it's goalfireapp.com. And I built this, and I just want you to know this, talking of goals coming from the soul, this app comes from, this is, just one of the platforms that I want to build. I want it to be, one day festivals and events, and going to see people achieve things in reality and share those moments with them. But right now, this is the foundation of a tool that you can use to, on the left here, chase any tiny habits and mark them off, set targets, see your momentum. It's incredibly motivating because it's about setting intention for the day of what you want to achieve. And it's about ticking off those tiny 1% steps. And my point is, I want you to know this platform, it used to be called something else, but now, through the toughest part in my life, it transformed to Goalfire. And this whole thing comes from, like I say, it comes from the heart. It comes from my hardest time. And that hardest time, I saw all of the tools that got me through. I saw all of the tools that allowed me to see the impact on everyone around me and how to help between everyone in the scenario. Like we helped my daughter experience joy and happiness through a tough time. And there were so many tools involved, such as education and learning, YouTube, TED Talks, going to yoga here in my hometown. It was incredibly life-changing from a releasing point of view. I didn't realize it at the time, but releasing and peace got me through anything that was building up. And that was because of yoga and the people that I was around in those yoga studios every single time. And so as part of my hard experience and the rebounding from that, not only did I just build this platform for goals and challenges to achieve and points and targets, but I then added this whole mindfulness and journaling and emotional part to the system, which includes a way to, we talk about the resistance tunnel. So it includes at the bottom here, this fear journal section. So you can actually see exactly, where you're hitting fear and where you're going up and where you're going down, and where, which times you're taking action through fear and which times you're rejecting fear and going back to the small self. So everything we've talked about today was my personal experience and my own story. And I put all of that into this app. The learning, the grow section, that there's a goal community which has endless tiny little habits which anyone can achieve. And just one of those, just say something to someone every day, is one habit. And that one thing can be life-changing. And again, it's my exact experience and story through this whole journey over the last few years. And I put it into this app platform. So I want to know that it can help people. And it comes from the deepest kind of place of trying to help people in giving. I try to keep this as cheap or right now, everything is free on the app. I have to pay to keep a platform here running, but down the line, we'll have premium features which go deeper into, talking about the zones. We'll probably I'll add a feature about zones and showing this kind of more detailed information about how vibrant you are, let's say. But right now, everything is free for you to explore. So use it to your advantage. If you combine, if you use goals and habits and you're not achieving what you want to achieve, then make sure you don't forget the mindful section, because if you're not achieving your goals consistently, there'll be blocks. So look for the blocks in the mindful section, in the fear journal, and then uncover those blocks, release those blocks, find the messages, return, like combine your habits and your mindfulness and your blocks. And you can really achieve any goal you want, any dream you want, any core desired feeling you want. And I want this to be a community that we all grow and share on this platform. So it's going to keep growing. So here's the links, and I thank you for staying so long with me if you did. Goldfire Life on Instagram, Goldfire app, you'll find everything there in the link to download this app for free. And I'm also starting a Facebook page to do with Achieve Any Dream. So click on that link there as well, or type that in your browser. And just search for Goldfire around, search for it on YouTube with all of these talks. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great day, and I hope something here has helped you today. Thank you.